This is Connor. Hi, and welcome back to the Wild Sting Radio Sports Hour at Stevenson University, where this week we will cover the Week 3 in the NFL and the MLB playoff race as it comes to a close. Starting with Mike McDaniel over there in Miami, as he is now in his 4th season, and every single year it seems like they take a step back. He started 9-8, then went to 11-6, where it got a lot of people excited, thinking maybe Miami might have, Tua might be taking that step you finally want him to take. This might be a really good team for a really long time. Tyreek Hill put up a huge year. And then last year, they looked like a shell of themselves. Their big plays dropped dramatically. Tyreek didn't catch a ball over 30 yards pretty much the whole season. And now they're stuck down at 0-3 to start this season. And they look as bad as they've ever been. Their defense looks terrible. They're just kind of in a rough spot. So you wonder, how long is it going to take for Mike McDaniel to be fired? John Gruden is an option out there right now that a lot of people are talking about, maybe taking over that Miami job, changing the culture over there from maybe being too speedy to more of a physical smash mouth team. So there's a lot of question marks right now in Miami whether McDaniels keeps his job. Personally, I don't think he should. Last year you saw how bad they were. They can't protect Tua. They have failed dramatically to build a good offensive line. They've really struggled to create a good rushing attack. It's really all relied off Tua's arm, which I think makes him look worse than he is. So when you talk about this team who's yet to win a playoff game in his regime under 4 years, who hasn't had an overly dominant season where they've shown flashes, but they haven't had a season where they really are the class of the AFC, this is a team that I think needs to head in a new direction. I think the 0-3 start is really telling. A loss to the Patriots that they shouldn't have lost. A loss to the Bills where it's the Bills, and then a loss to the Colts where they got dismantled by Daniel Jones. I think it might be time for a new change of scenery over there, and I think it might be time for McDaniel to be out. It's just a question of when at this point. If he makes it through the season, that would be a miracle. They would have to really turn it around these next couple of weeks. But I think his time in Miami is up. Speaking of implosions and bad things, what happened in Cleveland last week? The Green Bay Packers faced off with the Browns. The Browns probably the worst roster offensively in the NFL and one of the better defenses. So going into this game, you have the best offense currently in the NFC versus the best defense in the AFC. And maybe in the entire league, and man, did they play like it. They were all over Jordan Love. Jordan Love really, really struggled to throw the ball downfield in this game, which is what the Packers have been good at to start the season. And man, they couldn't run the ball, they couldn't throw the ball, and you see it. Even with that, they were up 10-0 going into the fourth quarter. Everything seemed to be going well. A couple big plays went the Browns' way. They end up getting it back to a tie game, 10-10 before. Just a collapse on special teams where they allow a block field goal and then the Browns go down and score. So the question is, what happened? How did it get to that point? And I think the problem was the offense stayed really poor the entire game, start to finish. Their offensive line was dismantled. Myles Garrett was going through like nothing. They were triple teaming him, which meant everybody else was free to the rusher. It was a really rough day for that Packers offense. The Packers defense, can't blame them. But wow, what a rough week to be a Packers fan after such a bright start. And they're going to be fine. It's the Packers. They still have the best maybe defensive roster in the NFC. They have a very good offense. They have a good quarterback, good running back. They're going to be fine, but man, what a shocker it was last week for the Browns to win that game. Joe Flacco leading the comeback. Well, what a shocker that was. And the block kick was just one of many last week. One of 9 defensive or special team plays that was either a blocked kick, a touchdown, or a kick return touchdown. So many big defensive plays. And probably the biggest of all was the Eagles-Rams game. Let's talk about this game for a second. It started out with the Rams dominating. They were up big, 26-7 at the start of the third quarter. It looked like maybe the Eagles weren't even in the game for most of this. They started up 7-0, and then they just fell off a cliff. The Rams scored the next 6 possessions, and then right after that, the Eagles scored their next 4 possessions. So what a comeback. Jalen Hurts really took a step up in this game, I think, as a thrower. He really was just dicing up that Rams defense who was stacking the box. Saquon didn't really get much going because of how full that box was. But man, Hurts through the air at 226 yards, 3 touchdowns. He also had his tush-push rushing touchdown. What a game it was for him, though. But yeah, just a great all-around day for him. But what a big game that was. And of course, to cap it off, that big blocked kick by Jordan Davis, and returns it all the way for the touchdown. Big Jordan Davis hitting to 18 mile an hour. First player 330 pounds or more to ever do that. On the other side, the Rams, man, this team is really good. This Rams team is going to be a problem for the NFC. Puka Nacua so far has been as good as advertised, and Davante Adams has been the best wide receiver too in the NFL. This guy has been all the way down. He's been their deep ball threat all year. He's been open. Him and Matthew Stafford have a connection. I mean, the duo last night had over 160 yards and a touchdown and 14 catches for Adams and Nacua. Just going to be a really scary team. Obviously, if Kyren Williams can really have another nice season, then that would really help. But man, Stafford has not lost a step. The receiving core over there has taken a huge step up with Davante Adams. And the defense, their front four is as good as anybody's. They can compete with anybody in the league. I think this Rams team is going to be really dangerous. Of course, the block kick kind of sucks for them. Kind of got screwed there. But next week, I think they're going to reestablish themselves and really come back. A team that won't is the Giants, because it's the Giants, and they fell to the Chiefs last night on Sunday Night Football, 22-9. What do you say about Russell Wilson in this game? You say bad things. You say a lot of bad things. Russell Wilson, just over 50% completion, 160 yards and 2 picks. The Giants fans were chanting for Jackson Dart to come in the game. I mean, that's always going to happen when you draft a rookie quarterback that high. But, I mean, there were so many bad moments last night for Wilson. I mean, the deep ball was not there. In the fourth quarter, in their final drive of the game, he decides to throw it out of bounds on 4th and goal, and you just wonder why. I mean, that's not a veteran move. Not sure what he was doing there, and in front of the home Giant crowd, that did not sit well. So the question is it Dart time? Is it Jackson Dart time? Do the Giants pull the plug on the Russell Wilson comeback experience and see if Jackson Dart can pull off some Jaden Daniels type magic and take them to the playoffs? I don't think so. I don't think this is a roster right now that you look at and say, I want to put my rookie quarterback behind that offensive line with a borderline subpar running back room and one good wide receiver and say, go win me the game. Go risk, hopefully a long career of Jackson Dart for a couple wins this year, in my opinion. I don't see the Giants winning that many games. I mean, their schedule, you got to think they're in the NFC East. I mean, they're going to be playing some of the best teams in the league almost every week. I mean, next week they play the Chargers. They play the Saints. That would be a game I would expect Dart to get a couple drives in. Saints don't have a great defensive line. They don't have a great defense in general. I would expect Jackson Dart to play a little bit in that game no matter what happens next week. But then they play the Eagles, then the Broncos, then the Eagles again, and then the 49ers and the Bears. I mean, just too many good defenses, too many good edge rushers. The offensive line is not going to hold up. You want to protect this rookie quarterback as long as you can. Most teams do this with young quarterbacks who they draft later. Unless you're drafted number 1 overall like a Cam Ward, like a Cam Newton, there's no need to rush them into the role when they have Russell Wilson. They even have Jameis Winston, who's just sitting there on the third string, who they have seemingly not wanted to trade so far. So I think you're looking at a situation where there is no need to play Jackson Dart right now. I can understand the frustration from Giants fans watching Russell Wilson do this. He put up 6 points in week 1 and 9 in week 3. But I don't see a reason to start Jackson Dart right now. You're just playing a dangerous game. You're risking a first-round pick. It's going to be a tough situation for Giants fans again this year. It's going to be a tough thing to watch, but isn't it every year? So you're going to have to wait till next year, I think, to see Jackson Dart, or at least later in the season when you get out of that, really tough schedule there in the middle where you play the Eagles, 49ers, and then the Broncos. I mean, just so many good defenses that you don't want to play against if you're a rookie quarterback. So I think Wilson stays in that starting spot. If not, I think Winston step in. But I wouldn't be shocked if Daboll, trying to save his job, throws Dart in there and kind of hopes that the rookie quarterback can save his job because Daboll is really on his last leg. This Giants team has had one good season under his regime, and then Daniel Jones was given that massive contract extension, leaves, becomes, we'll talk about that in a few minutes, what Daniel Jones has become. But I think we might see Dart. I don't agree with it. I think if you're a head coach trying to protect a quarterback, you keep him in that backup role. But if you're a head coach trying to save your job, what do? I mean, you kind of have to save your job. So, we'll see if we see Jackson Dart. And when we come back, we'll talk about some of the impactful rookies early on in this season and some early predictions on awards. Stay with us. The Rookies of the Year race. Starting with some of the offensive players that have really made an impact here. Tyler Warren, obviously one of them for the Colts, had such a nice start with that Colts offense. I mean, Daniel Jones has had them moving. You gotta look at what he's done over there with Tyler Warren, though. Tyler Warren's been great for him. Really consistent, steady target. Obviously a huge prospect coming out. You expected him to be the first tight end drafted. Colston Loveland ends up going. And then the Colts get the guy they wanted all along. This guy has 14 catches for 193 right now. I expect him to have a lot of touchdowns by the season's over, depending on if Daniel Jones keeps playing how he is, which is still so funny to say. If this guy continues to play how he is, and Tyler Warren is going to be a stud. He's going to be a stud. Great blocker as well. Offers a lot for that Colts offense. Emeka Egbuka is going to be the wide receiver one maybe for a couple weeks over there in Tampa Bay after Mike Evans goes down, and he's already shined over there. 14 catches for 181 yards and 3 touchdowns on the year. Broke out really big in week 1, 2 touchdowns, and last week really shined when Evans went off the field, helped that Tampa Bay offense go down the field in that game-winning drive. He's been a big impact player for him. Godwin's not in right now. I think his value is an all-time high as far as fantasy goes, with Mike Evans being down, Cade Otton not really producing, Bucky Irving not really producing as much as you'd like him to, and Mike Evans going down. I think this could be a massive week for Emeka Egbuka and maybe even Sterling Shepard. But this season, I think Emeka Egbuka is going to establish himself. He's been a great wide receiver so far. I think he's going to continue that. One guy who hasn't started as well, who I think will pick it up, is Ashton Jeanty. I saw a stat the other day about Ashton Jeanty. He is last in yards before contact, and first in elusiveness rate, or third in elusiveness rating in the NFL. That is not his fault at all. That's just complete Raiders terrible things over there for that offensive line. That offensive line has been the worst in the NFL probably this entire season. Geno has not looked good behind it. He holds the ball a little bit too long. You could argue that, but when you can't throw the ball and you can't run the ball, it makes for a really bad combination. So I think they're going to find a way to figure it out. Chip Kelly's obviously a decent offensive coordinator, so they're going to be able to figure it out over there. Brock Bowers hasn't really gotten going at all, but these are some of the. I mean, Jeanty is averaging 3.1 yards a carry right now. That's not going to continue. He'll figure it out as the season goes along. Maybe even a long shot for offensive rookie of the year. Ja'Cory Cross-Get-Merritt, or as Commanders fans know him as Bill, is having a nice season. He scored his second touchdown of the season last year. I don't think he's going to have as big of an impact as many think he will. Just based off what I saw last week from Washington, they're really not interested in having a featured back. They're more interested in probably having that running back by committee, and they have a couple really good ones. That scheme is really easy to run through. I mean, Jeremy McNichols had a big run last week. Chris Rodriguez had a couple really big runs last week. Obviously, Merritt has the higher ceiling of the three, but I think that is going to be less of an impact. I don't think he's going to be as impactful as some Commanders fans think. On the other hand, Cam Ward is having maybe the most underrated season by a rookie. Tough to say for the number 1 overall pick who's 0-3 right now. It sounds crazy to say. But when you look at the games and you watch the games, he's really made one major mistake, which was the interception last week to start the game, which was just a nice play by the defensive back. He stared it down. It happens. But that's his only interception this season. He's got 2 touchdowns. He's behind a subpar offensive line. Tony Pollard has not been good. And the receivers have been even worse. Calvin Ridley has been horrible. Alec Ayamaner has been okay. Their Chigakonkwo is Chigakonkwo. He's all right. But I think this guy right here, this would be my hot take for Rookie of the Year based on weeks 1 through 3. I would say this guy comes back at the end of the year and wins the Rookie of the Year award. I think he's going to have a really nice end of the season. I don't know if it's going to be the last 5 weeks or if he just starts it next week, but I think he's really going to start clicking. You can see it in his game. He's so calm, so comfortable in the pocket, and he moves really well as well. So I think this guy's going to have such a nice season after. It's just got to click. Once it clicks, it's going to be good. I think he's going to be a great player. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, you're looking at, as for a defensive Rookie of the Year, you're looking at a lot of different players here. You're looking at a flurry of edge rushers in Abdul Carter, Shamar Stewart, Mykel Williams, Jalen Walker, James Pierce. I mean, all of these guys are just freaks, and they're all on the defensive line, and any one of them could have a really nice season. I think Abdul Carter is going to win it. Abdul Carter's been really impactful. He's having like a Chase Young type of impact in his rookie season where he's not really putting up a huge sack number, not really having the hottest start ever, but he has made so many plays on special teams and so many plays in the run game. This guy's been a menace so far this season, and so is that Giants defensive line. Really the only bright spot for them right now is that offensive line or that defensive line. And man, I think he's going to have a monster second season because I think either Thibodeau or Brian Burns leaves next year, and he's going to have a monster second season. Shamar Stewart's on the Bengals. He's not going to win it. I just hate to say it, but he's not going to win it. They haven't shown the ability to stop anybody. He's shown flashes to get into the backfield, but I don't really see him having a chance. Mykel Williams on that 49ers defensive line has a couple good players around him. It's a little bit depleted over there right now, but I think he has a chance to win it as well. The maybe long shot would be Jihad Campbell for the Eagles. He had a really nice week 1. I haven't seen much of him since, but he's been really, really good. According to PFF, he's the second highest graded rookie. This guy could be really, really good, and he's a really athletic linebacker. Kind of shocked to see him go down to 31 to the Eagles. I think he's going to be the best off-the-ball linebacker to come out of this draft. That's not a hot take, but pretty comfortably he'll be the best. Jalen Walker, I don't think has a great season this year. I think next year he breaks out, and I think a similar thing with James Pierce, but a little bit more success this season just because of his athletic upside. But I do think Jalen Walker will end up being a little bit better of a player. So on the offensive side, in summary, I think we're going to see Cam Ward, and I think we're going to see Abdul Carter. I know, hot takes, number 1, number 2 pick, but I think that's what we're going to end up seeing. Now, in the MVP race, I've been waiting all week to talk about this one. On one hand, you have a couple good players, and then you have, I guess, good player Daniel Jones. Where did that come from? I watched this guy play in New York for 3 years, and the only team I ever saw him play good against was the Washington Commanders. And it seemed like every time he played him, he was accurate, he was running the ball well, and every other team he played against, he looked terrible. And now, after basically just getting kicked off the Giants, the fans booted him out, he goes to Indianapolis and turns into Indiana Jones is his nickname now. And boy, Indiana Jones is balling. 816 yards on 71% completion and 3 touchdowns to no picks. I can't say I ever saw this coming. Hasn't thrown a pick yet. Never saw that one coming after 8 touchdowns to 7 picks in 10 games last year. This guy is this would be number 1, the craziest MVP ever, and 2, the craziest comeback player of the year ever, considering this guy was written off by everybody. When he got started in Indianapolis, people were losing their minds. By the way, not to mention he has 3 rushing touchdowns as well. So this guy has 6 touchdowns in total and no turnovers. That Colts offense has not punted the ball until I think halfway through the second quarter of their week 3 game, which is the longest in NFL history. It's insane. It's insane the comeback he's had. I'm here for it. I love it. I'm not a Daniel Jones fan, but man, it's hard not to root for a guy like this right now. He's having such a good season, and I hope he keeps it up. This guy's been great, and the Colts needed it. The Colts needed it. Starting 3-0 for the first time in a really long time over there in Indianapolis. So right now, he's my number 3 in MVP. I wish I could put him higher, but there are just 2 other guys having much better seasons. My number 2 is Josh Allen, and I think for obvious reasons. He's 3-0 as well, 5 touchdowns, 755 yards, no picks. I don't even know if he has a turnover this season. He has probably the best comeback of the season so far with that Week 1 game in Baltimore. This guy's just a freak, reigning MVP. He's so good. Let's see how many rushing touchdowns. He's got 2 rushing touchdowns. He's got 7 total touchdowns, no turnovers. This guy's great. No surprise here to see him in the top 3. I'd put him at my number 2. But my number 1 spot right now, for a team that has had 3 come-from-behind victories, 3 game-winning drives in the first 3 weeks, Baker Mayfield. This dude was, again, another guy that was written off by the entire league. Carolina cut him. Went to L.A. They let him walk. Cleveland traded him. Then he ends up in Tampa. First year in Tampa, shocks everybody. 28 touchdowns, 10 picks. Last year, throws 41 touchdowns. Does have 16 picks, but 41 touchdowns. Takes a Bucs team that didn't have a very good receiving core all season to the playoffs. And then this year, I mean, he's taken this team to new heights. This team looks really good. We'll see how they look this week against the Eagles. I think that's going to be a really fun matchup. But right now, this guy's my front runner for MVP. I think if I were to pick an MVP for the season, it would be Josh Allen. I hope it's Daniel Jones just for the sake of it being hilarious and Daniel Jones' comeback to win MVP. Giants fans would lose their minds. But I think right now, I think Josh Allen would be my favorite to win MVP this season. I wouldn't be shocked to see Baker Mayfield continue this type of play because we've seen it from him for 3 years now. But I really do love it. I love the MVP race right now. It's so fun. All 3 guys play such a fun brand of football, which is, again, I never thought I'd be saying it about Daniel Jones, but he's playing fun football right now in Indianapolis. It's fun. It's fun. Another team that I think has been really fun to watch and really, really good is the LA Rams. And I think right now, if I were to pick a Super Bowl team out of the NFC, I would pick the Rams. I know the Eagles are great. I know the Eagles won against the Rams last week. But watch the Rams dominate them the way they did in that second quarter and that start of the third quarter. To watch the dominance that the Rams were doing, it was beautiful. I mean, their brand of football is fun. I think Kyren Williams is probably a little bit overrated as a running back, but the other guys on that team, I mean, Devontae Adams is the best wide receiver too in the NFL. Puka Nacua is maybe the best wide receiver in the NFL right now. It's obviously debatable with Jefferson and Chase, but I mean, he is fun to watch. He does everything for that team. He's one of the better blocking receivers in the NFL. You're watching right now a Rams team that I think many people thought were going to fall off because of Matthew Stafford aging, and now we're watching them come back maybe even better than they were last year. This is a team that took the Eagles to the brink. And this was an Eagles team last year that was almost unbeatable at the end of the season. So this is a team right here I think will go to the Super Bowl from the NFC. And on the AFC, I think it's no surprise that the Baltimore Ravens have looked the best of anybody. I know they lost to the Bills. I get it. But the way they played in that game, they outplayed the Bills in every fashion. Without that Keon Coleman deflected catch, they win that game handily by 2 scores. They destroyed the Browns. Right now they're tied with the Lions at halftime, but I don't think the Lions are going to stay in that game. The Ravens' offense is so good on so many levels. Adding DeAndre Hopkins was a really underrated signing. I think a lot of people thought he was going there just to end his career, but he has been a huge impact for them in the early weeks. This is my favorite from the AFC. The Rams are my favorite from the NFC, and when we return, we'll look at some of the more interesting games and storylines to follow next week in Week 4. Welcome back to Stevenson Sports Hour, where we are looking at the Week 4 of the NFL starting games, where we have the only undefeated matchup left with the Bucs and the Eagles. So the Bucs and the Eagles are the 2 teams that have both played really close games so far to start the year. And I think in this one the Buccaneers might pull off the upset. I think the Eagles have been a little bit sluggish offensively. I don't think Barkley's gotten going, and I don't think he'll get going against that Buccaneers defense. They're pretty good against the run. I trust the Buccaneers in that one. Now, I think a sneaky good game is going to be the Texans and the Titans. Now, I know this sounds crazy. 2 teams that have really struggled to do anything offensively. A lot of people are looking at this game like, man, this is going to have like a combined 10 points between these. Both teams are 0-3. Why would you pick this game? I don't know how many points are going to be scored, but I have a feeling this game's going to come down to the final kick. I think the Titans have been competitive in their games. Even last week, I know they didn't play great, but they put up 20, and I think every single week they've been near the fourth quarter and then things start to unravel, I think they're going to be able to put up a good fight against the Texans, who are banged up defensively, and the Texans who just haven't scored. They haven't been able to score offensively. I don't see a real blowout there. I think this is going to be a pretty good matchup. But I think maybe the biggest game, as far as publicized, is going to be the Chiefs and Ravens. Now, the Chiefs have not looked like the classic Chiefs. They look like the Chiefs of last year, where they were not explosive but consistently good. But they also don't look as good as that team. It seems like they're regressed a little bit this year, especially with all the injuries to their offense. Their offensive line has been kind of battered up. I mean, Jawan Taylor looks really bad. But I don't know. As far as this game goes, I think the Ravens are going to beat them. I really trust the Ravens in that one. But I think the Chiefs, I mean, they're the Chiefs, and they always seem to get the better hand of these good teams. So we'll see what happens in that one. And now this one is the most publicized. This one is going to be the biggest game. This is going to be the billboard up there in Dallas, is Packers and Cowboys. Now, Micah is coming back. So, it's going to be an interesting one for the Dallas offense that has not looked good, who had a really bad week in Chicago, and now they got to go against the Packers team who just lost to the Browns, who are probably going to have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, not to mention Micah returning to play in front of Jerry Jones, in Jerry Jones' house. It's going to be fun to watch. I can tell you, I think all eyes are going to be glued to that game, and I think the Packers are going to absolutely dismantle the Cowboys, and Micah might break the sack record in that game. He's going to be pissed. So it's going to be a fun week in week 4. A lot of big games, a lot of fun games. But now we're going to switch over to the MLB race to October. Who's in and who's out? Starting with what's going on in Detroit. What has happened to maybe the most consistent team in the MLB this season up until this point? And now they are losers of 9 of their last 10. While on the other hand, the Guardians have catapulted themselves from the number 3 spot in the AL Central to the number 2 spot by only a game, and now they're about to go into a series against each other as one of the final series of the season. What a fun week of baseball that's going to be, watching the Tigers and the Guardians go at it for the number 1 spot. And whoever doesn't get that number 1 spot is not guaranteed to make the playoffs. Both teams are 85-71 and 84-72. Only one game separates them. But the Guardians at 84-72 are tied with the Astros, who are looking out right now, who are holding on desperately to that spot in the wild card race, and that's going to be so fun. I mean, whoever loses this series probably misses the playoffs. So if you're a Tigers fan, first of all, what an unlucky run you've had. Yeah, I mean, on the season, you have a 73 run differential, positive 73 run differential, and the Guardians have a negative 9 run differential. So when you look at the quality of the teams, I mean, I think the Tigers are far and away better, but the stretch for you're just getting cold at the wrong time. And when you get cold in October, it's going to be bad, and it's going to be tough to see if the Tigers actually make it. It would be one of the biggest collapses maybe in MLB history, as they were 15 and a half games up just a few weeks ago, and now they're only 1 game up. So this is a huge collapse. AJ Hinch is a great manager. He might be able to keep them in it, but it's gonna be a really, really telling couple of games over there in Detroit to see if they can hold on to that last spot. Another team that had an absolutely massive collapse is the New York Mets. Man, there's always the phrase Mets gonna Met, and then this year they took it to a new level. Juan Soto has been by far their best player. Outside of that, their offense has been about league average, and their pitching staff has been the worst in the MLB. For a long time, they were the number 1 team in the MLB as far as pitching goes. They were ranked number 1 in just about every category. Everything looked up, and now they're ranked 32nd. They were ranked 32nd. Or 30th. They're ranked 30th. That's just first to last, literally. So what a fall off over there. Cincinnati has jumped up and snagged that wild card spot. They're tied for it right now. It's gonna be a telling couple of games over there in New York. See if they can hold on. They've been really bad on the road this year, really good at home. So we could see if the Mets hold on there. It's going to be that final wild card spot in the NL is also going to be a battle. As far as we said, the Astros are holding on to that last spot over there in the AL. They're probably not going to have a chance to win their division, as the Mariners now have a 3-game lead over them. It would take a huge fall off, and the Mariners are won 9 of their last 10, so they're in a pretty good spot right now. But I think it's going to be a fun couple of weeks. I mean, Cal Raleigh, we just found out, hit number 58, the most by a catcher by 10 in MLB history. That's crazy. The next highest was Salvador Perez of 4 years ago. So Cal Raleigh has a really good MVP case against Aaron Judge. We'll see what the voters decide. Mike Trout went ahead and hit number 400 for his career. What a big moment for him. He hasn't really had the best season as far as his standards go, but how could you? Because he's been so good for so long. It's nice to see Trout finally getting back to playing a full season. Now, he's hitting 229 this year, only has 22 home runs and 440 at-bats. But it is nice to see him back on the field, and he has flashes where he is still, the same old Trout. But it's nice to see him hit 400. That should pretty much guarantee his spot in the Hall of Fame if it wasn't already. And then the last big news of the week, and we found out about it about 2 weeks ago, was Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw came out and said that this was going to be his final regular season, and they gave him one more start in LA, and he struck out the final batter he ever faced in a regular season. So congrats to Clayton Kershaw on no doubt a Hall of Fame career, one of the best left-handed pitchers and pitchers in general of all time. It's been a fun week in baseball. It's been a fun week in football, but that's a wrap for this week in Stevenson Sports. This is Connor High. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week to do it all again.